Welcome, listeners, to the Lust for Life podcast, where you'll be joining a girl on her journey to discovering the depths of emotional intelligence. This is your host, Tennessee Reed. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you had a great week. I have had an amazing week, and on today's episode, I just kind of want to discuss further into my trip to Nashville last week. It was so much fun. Recap: I missed my flight, turned out fine. I ended up getting on a flight the next day, and I was able to visit Jake. I haven't seen him all summer, so it was super fun to be able to see him. He's doing research with Vanderbilt's orthopedic surgery program, and he's just absolutely loving it there and having a great experience, but it is hard to have him away. I did a previous episode on that. As much as I support his dream and as much as I would want him to be there doing the research and getting that experience, it is hard to be separated. As people with long-distance relationships know, or spouses who are in the military, things like that. So it's hard, but it is so much fun, the times that you get to see them. And that was this last week over the 4th of July. I spent the whole week with Jake, and I honestly loved being in Nashville, but the best part was just like laying in bed and just like staring at him. I know that sounds weird, but like just being next to him and just being like, he's right here. Like, that is just the best feeling ever. Like, I could just, if all we did was lay in bed and just stare at each other, I'd be like, I'm the happiest girl in the whole world. And Lucy, our dog, was there too, which just made it so much fun. We are just 3 peas in a pod. We just love spending time with each other. Our favorite thing to do together is just going on walks. So we did lots of walks. We did many walks through Centennial Park and seeing the Parthenon, and Lucy loved seeing all the geese there and all the squirrels. There's so much grass. There's not parks like that here in Chapel Hill, but it's beautiful in different ways, but there's not that grass and that open park feeling, and Lucy just loves the parks, and she loves the ponds, and she loves all the little animals at the park. So it was so much fun. Every day we went to Centennial Park and just walked around, and I feel like we were just back together again the way we have always been. And when we lived back in Utah, there was always a big park that we'd go walk, like at least once a day, honestly, sometimes twice a day we'd go walk that park with Lucy. So it was just so much fun. We spent some time down Broadway, just kind of looking through all the shops. We don't drink, so we didn't go into any of the bars, but it looked like it had a lot of fun energy going on in there, and it was fun to see such an active city. It was so fun to see people having so much fun, enjoying themselves, smiling. Like, it was just a lot of fun energy, it was fun to be in that atmosphere. There was a beautiful bridge right on the end of Broadway that you could overlook the river, and I'm going to be honest, I forgot the name of the river. I'm so terrible with geographic stuff, so forgot the name of the river, but it was so pretty. And we ended up watching the fireworks from our place, which is just like a mile down from Broadway, maybe a couple miles down from Broadway. And we have like a rooftop in the Airbnb we were staying at, so we just ended up watching the fireworks there with our dog Lucy, and it was just so magical. Like, honestly, the fireworks were the best fireworks we've ever seen. Like, they were massive. Like, it just wasn't like shooting from one spot. They were like shooting across like the whole city, and like one firework you could see from where we were sitting would span like multiple buildings. Like, they were the biggest fireworks I'd ever seen. Like, so big, but it was so pretty to watch them. I'm not a big firework person, meaning like I don't like to watch them super close because it's just really loud, and like I do have a history of concussions, so it kind of hurts my head, and I just I can get migraines from them, and I had to put on my sunglasses because they're so bright with my history of concussions. And so I just leave feeling kind of like gross, and I don't feel the best, and sometimes it even lasts into my next day. So I'm more of like a firework from distance type of girl, and so is Lucy. I would never bring Lucy to like a direct fireworks show because I think it would hurt her ears. But we had so much fun just watching it on the rooftop. And it was just like so magical to be together. And like I said in my other episode, it's just like you just cherish those moments when you don't get them as much as you used to. And it's not that I was taking like Jake for granted. I know how awesome he is, but it's you just learn to appreciate things on a different level when you don't have it all the time. Like you can think of like a cold shower or like a shower in general. If your shower starts to turn cold and you get one warm shower a week, you probably look forward to that warm shower more than you look forward to a warm shower every single day. For my experience, maybe other people are like, no, warm showers are like gold and I treat them as such. But for me, it's just like, oh, it was so nice to be with Jake and be exploring Nashville and in a different city. And we had so much fun working out together. And we had so much fun, it made the goodbye hard. I stayed a whole week and we just explored together, and I was just dreading the goodbye the whole time, honestly, because I was like, it's going to be so hard to say goodbye. And that's like another thing that I want to like start to break apart is like, why are goodbyes hard? Like, I understand like it's sad to say goodbye because you're not going to see them, or like they're stepping out of your life momentarily or sometimes forever. But goodbyes are so hard. They're so hard, and they've always been hard for me. Like, funerals are always hard for me. And dropping people off at the airport, like family members, is hard for me. Or like leaving a trip is hard. Like, it's hard for me. Like, if I'm on vacation and I have to leave tomorrow, it's just kind of sad to have to pack your bag and go. And I know the quote of like, don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened. Like, and I'm trying to like live by that, but it's just hard. It's just so hard. And I'm trying to break that apart. Like, is it the uncertainty or the anxiety of when you're going to see them again? Or I don't know. Like, I was really, really sad the day I had to leave Jake, which at the end of the trip, I was like, I'm trying to do better and not hold in my emotions. Like, if I need to cry, I can cry. And I was crying like the whole day, like intermittently, because I just was like really sad. And I was like, am I just being dramatic? Like, I'm having such a hard time with this. And I don't know if it was my brain, like, telling me I'm never going to see him again, even though I know I will. But it was just really hard, and it just got me thinking, like, goodbyes are really, really hard. And it got me thinking, like, when Lucy eventually passes away, our dog, it's going to be really, really hard. And yeah, I just, like, realized that I'm not very good at goodbyes. And I kind of want to, like, work through that a little bit. And Lucy is 10 and a half, so she's getting up there. She's slowing down a lot. And we know that we're kind of on, like, the latter end of her life. But I wish that, like, goodbyes could be more happy. Like the quote said, like, smile because it happened. I wish goodbyes could be more happy. And in my world, they're not. In others, it probably is. Like, funerals are not happy to me. But some funerals could be happy, and it could be happy that you're celebrating their life. But to me, it's a very much mourning. And I'm such an empathetic person that even if I don't know that person very well, if I go to a funeral, like, I'm going to feel very sad. And I'm going to feel like I'll probably get emotional because I know that the family members and the close friends of this individual are probably feeling very empty and something's missing. Part of them is missing, and therefore I'm feeling that for them. I'm such an empathetic person that it's almost a curse sometimes because it brings on so much heavy weight that necessarily isn't mine, but also comes with gifts that I'm able to feel people's emotions without having to experience what they're experiencing. I can understand what they're going through a little bit more. So it's just, I wish I was better at goodbyes. I wish it was more of a happy and exciting time, and that's something that maybe I need to really reflect on more. I'm curious what you guys think about that and how you've worked through that. And I think it will develop more as, I get experience it more and I get better at it. But yeah, it was really, really hard to say goodbye to Jake at the airport, even though I know I'm going to see him again. So just kind of interesting thought there. And I know that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints that I'm affiliated with and I'm a member of, they preach about families are eternal and we live forever with them in heaven, which is very comforting. And it takes off a lot of that weight of the goodbye when someone is passing from this life to the next. But it still is just like very much mourning for me. And as a nurse, I've seen a lot of death, and I've seen death in tragic ways, and it's never easy. It never gets easy, and it's, even if we were expecting this, and even if the patient was in pain, it was still very hard for me. And I think it's hard for me because of the people experiencing the loss and the deficit of this person out of their life. And I'm happy for the person who is now in heaven and gets to enjoy their healthy spirit instead of being in pain here on earth. But I think it's the loss of the family member's loss that I just empathize with so much, that it's almost like a curse because it's exhausting. But especially when it's my own loss, like I'm losing Jake, I won't see him for 3 weeks. That's a type of loss that's hard for me sometimes. But I don't know, just a big thought that I had was I'm just really not good at goodbyes at all. And there's so many different types of goodbyes in this life. It's obviously a goodbye because of a death, somebody passing on from this life to the next, just like I experienced a goodbye at the airport. I'm not going to see Jake for a while. But it's also a goodbye sometimes of yourself. There's different versions of yourself throughout your life. And I feel like I kind of experienced that last year. Was I had to say goodbye to my old self. And this makes me a little bit emotional. My old self that brought me as far as they could to the point of last year. I had to say goodbye to them and take on this new identity a little bit. That's going to take me on to this next phase of life. And maybe eventually I'll say goodbye to this version of myself and kind of move on. And as much as I'm so much happier now, you mourn that version of yourself a little bit because they did so much for you. They took you through so much of your life. And so there's just so many different types of mourning. And sometimes when you watch people lose themselves, you watch this potential of this person, and then they go down a path that maybe you can see is not the best for them. You mourn that loss of potential. So you can mourn the loss of a previous self, but you could also mourn and look at people and see a loss of potential that will never be unlocked or isn't being unlocked, which is also hard. So there's just a lot of loss that doesn't have to do with death, but just like kind of spiritually, there's a lot of loss in this world that's really hard to watch. And I've talked with Jake about that so much, is we were like, how many people, like, what's the percentage of people that don't unlock their full potential? And the answer to that is probably 100%. Probably 100% of the people that walk this earth are not unlocking their full potential. And it just makes me sad that there's so many lost dreams. There's so many things that were not achieved. And we were watching Percy Jackson. It was like I don't know what year it came out, but it was like the first movie that came out, not the TV show. Jake and I were watching it, and as they were entering hell, where they were going to go visit Hades, the guide of the boat that they were in was explaining that these objects floating around in the air was lost dreams. And these lost dreams are in hell. And it's miserable. And so it just kind of like hit me a little bit like, yeah, it's really sad when dreams are lost and they're never achieved because someone doesn't think they're good enough, or someone is scared about how to achieve this dream, or scared to make mistakes, or scared to dream big because of what others will think of them, whatever it is. But it was so interesting that like it was as dramatic as these lost dreams are so sad that they're in hell. Like that's really sad, but it's true. And so it just really got me thinking like, I really want to unlock my full potential, and I really want to make sure that I'm doing everything I can to be the best version of myself. And I never want to have to mourn that I didn't do everything I wanted to do in this life. I want to experience as much as I can, and I want to be happy doing it. And I just thought those thoughts were kind of all connected, and it's interesting how that pathway worked out. But those were kind of my thoughts as I explored Nashville with Jake this week. And I really want to get better at goodbyes, and I really want to get better at mourning and kind of having a different mind shift about it. And I hope that as I work through that, I can get better at that, because saying goodbyes is really intimidating to me. And I think that's why I get emotional about it. So that's something I'm going to work on. And there's some food for thought for you this week. And I hope you all enjoyed this week's episode. And I hope you have a wonderful week. And we'll see you next week.